I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, cause the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Can you guys hear me now? Oh, yeah. Well, as I was saying, today is Saturday, June 14th. What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody is having a wonderful Saturday morning. Mrs. Birdie and I went on a date last night. As I've said, Monday through Thursday and Sunday nights are a guarantee that I will be streaming at 7 p.m. Central. Friday is a crapshoot, but sometimes I have to take the night off and take my lovely wife on a date. So that is what we were doing last night. And today's going to be a good one. Today is going to be about the Idaho 4 case and how it has a lot of the same common denominators that psyops, well-known, documented, mainstream psyops have. So buckle up, grab your tinfoil hats, because I would argue that this is one of those quote unquote forbidden theories that has seemed to gain steam over the last few months. And before I say what's up to the Hive, I just want to say that I was doing an experiment on TikTok where I was reposting videos about WITSEC, about psy-op, about how none of this adds up, that I posted back in like March and April. Such a different response. Minimal comments saying that I'm crazy. And I think that it's becoming more normalized that people can wrap their heads around that this doesn't make any sense. And so shout out to the Hive for helping spread the awareness that this stuff goes on. So anyways, that is what we're going to be diving into today. Mrs. Birdie says, hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. We got D Smalls, April rain showers. Elmo Rupert's in the house. We got Holly. We got Nicole. We got Karen tuning in from the UK. Social Glow. What is going on? Date nights and Hive and mornings is right. Happy Saturday, Mercedes. Good to see you. Mrs. Birdie Shannon says hi. Kaylee tuning in from the UK. What time is it in the UK right now? How's it going, Halo Art? Thank you, TK. Appreciate that. South Africa. Unbelievable. Another UK. This is great. Wow, I did not know that, 1111. There was a list of content creators who were being called out for spreading conspiracies, and you, Birdie, were not on it. Well, I'm okay with not being on that. Shout out to the Midwest as well. Hive Down Under, Miss Q tuning in from Australia. 1 a.m. in Australia with Marion. Scotland's the most northerly point. That's awesome. Another Melbourne, Australia. 4:20 in Ireland. Blaze it. What's going on, Woman Power? Where is everyone? Where else is everyone tuning into? We got Crazy Cutie tuning in from hot ass Florida. We got the Netherlands, Bellingham, Knoxville, Tennessee, Lake Point, Utah. We are happy to do it, Halo. Oklahoma. That movie Twister is great. Tennessee, Texas, Kansas City, British Columbia, corrupt Idaho, Nicole says. New York City, Washington, Alabama. I really want to say War Eagle, but I will say Roll Tide if CJ is in here too. Another New York, South Carolina, Pensacola, another North Carolina, Indiana. Got the jersey on today. Minnesota, what's going on, Claire? Monique's tuning in from Oklahoma. None of our, oh no, we had a Scotland friend. We had our Scotland friend here. We had someone in here from Asia the other day, which is crazy. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in today, Hive. I have a couple of exciting announcements and reminders. Another quick reminder, the Hive Mind merch is now available. Guys, I am looking for ideas for more merch to add. While I like to think of myself as a creative when it comes to merch, whether like I could do t-shirts, I could do whatever. I got a good manufacturer that can do a variety of products. So if you guys want something, let me know. Send it to me, birdiebombshell00@gmail.com. And on this next slide, I am very excited and grateful to one of the members in our Hive, and that is our very own Dawn, has gone and gotten Birdie hooked up on Discord. Now, there may be some people that don't exactly know what Discord is. So I'm going to try to quickly explain this, and I'm going to explain this, and hopefully people see the value in this. The link is on my YouTube channel, so you would just click more over by my username here, and the link, it says join the Hive Mind Discord. You click that, you'll be able to get in. And so what is the Discord? I have been saying this is the Hive's headquarters for off-stream deep dives. So it's a messaging board. Dawn has gone and set up a variety of threads. So we have our rules, which are pretty similar to here in the chat. The social media stuff that I'll be posting, live announcements, merch. And then we have making friends, general chat, being grateful. What are you currently looking into right now? The Hive Mind finds will be on there. Idaho 4 case chat, Idaho 4 investigation videos. Is there anyone in law or a detective, or does anybody know somebody that would want to be interviewed, essentially? Plus, there's also the ability to do streaming and any kind of like audio chat rooms. This is 100% free. It's going to stay absolutely free. So all you'd have to do is download that app or access it on whatever browser you use. I would recommend the app. It's really easy. It took me a while to kind of learn, just because I've never set it up. So that's why I want to give Dawn such a big shout out. So her and Mrs. Birdie will be in there helping out with that. But I think it's going to be a great place so that we can all continue to dive into stuff. This will slowly transition to where we will have the Hive Mind finds be submitted to. You'll always still be able to email me, but it'll be interesting because it's going to be able to really show like what's a Hive Mind find that more people need to see. So anyways, that is in the bio on my YouTube channel, as I said. And I am very, very excited about that. Last night, there was already a handful of people that had found it already. So you'll also get updates on streams. Like, for example, last night, me and Mrs. Birdie go on a date. I will post in there on Fridays if it won't happen. I posted in there this morning, hey, happy Saturday. I'm going to be going live at 10 a.m. So most times I'll post a video update, but regardless, the Discord is going to be very, very useful for those types of things. So again, it's completely free to join. I hope to see you all in there. That will be the Hive's headquarters for off-stream deep dives. So I also just wanted to touch on this again. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central, make sure you guys go and subscribe and turn the alerts on to Surviving the Truth if you want to tune into that live stream with myself and Kelly Patterson, who is a sex trafficking survivor. Her goal in reaching out to myself and the Hive was to try and get that topic, being trafficking, talked about more in the true crime community. And so I am looking forward to being on her show. She will then be on my channel mid-July, which when that time gets closer, I'm going to probably on the Discord, or you guys can email me it, but I'd like to compile a list of questions that you guys would all want Kelly to answer. So moving on to the Hive Mind Finds, I thought this was so interesting. And this person, if you guys remember when we had Allie Benevento on, and she told the story about the homeless gentleman who was drunk and passed out, where an EMT came and put the pulse ox on his finger, and then that same EMT drove 50 miles up the road to a rich IT businessman who died, and then they found the homeless person's DNA under his fingernails because it was touch and trace DNA transferred from the pulse ox from the EMS. That homeless man was convicted of murder, and he was exonerated, but only after they figured it out. So it just shows how fragile touch and trace DNA is. It relates to what I was sent in an email where it says, this person in the Hive said, I'm at the doctor, and the nurse that took my oxygen test, I asked her about how often do they clean it, and then told her the story of the transfer DNA, and she was shook. She said, honestly, we clean it at the end of the day, she says, but now that I'm bringing that up, now I'm going to be bringing that up at our next meeting. She then said, girl, I'm going to go clean it now. So talk about that story of what Allie had shared with all of us here in the Hive, and just how even kind of shocking that is to people in a hospital setting. So shout out to who submitted this, because I love hearing stuff like this where you take what you hear in the streams and then you go and pass it along in your everyday life. This, hang on, I'll get out of here. So this next one, if you were on the stream a couple of days ago, you guys remember we watched that dark web video where Thundercat bought a pair of boots that were covered in blood for whatever reason off of the dark web. I'm just going to let this play. And I have this warning. Not that anybody in here would. Never buy anything off the dark web. And you guys will see why. As if that we needed any more reason to not. He was being tracked. Okay. So he cut off the heel of the boot, and there was a literal sensor in it. I'll play it again. Oops. It's lit up. It's flashing. So, yeah. None of us, let's all make a collective promise that none of us are going to do anything like that. That's insane. That is insane. All right. Now, this next Hive Mind find is a YouTube comment. I don't know when this is from, so I will give that disclaimer. I'm not sure when this came out, but I did find it interesting. And it's allegedly Sergeant Bisker. Oops. I need to get this banner up. There we go. Allegedly, Sergeant Bisker knows Brian and his dad back in Pennsylvania, and he got Brian interested as a teen in being in a task force. Sherlock Rome saw a picture of the two together at a hotel conference in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Said the picture is removed now, but the topic is trafficking. Brian K. is allegedly a federal agent working on a task force working to bust drug and human trafficking. Brian was investigating Pornhub because the frats were allegedly drugging and essaying and filming sorority girls and making smut movies to sell and make money for U of I and Greek Row. Also, Jack D allegedly punched King Gonzo out that night. So there's a lot there to unpack. This is all alleged. But the rumors about somebody being in the hospital that morning, the rumors about stuff being filmed, the rumors about Brian Kohberger potentially being a federal agent. There's a lot there. Is it a stretch? Maybe. But you guys know what we do here in the Hive. We look into everything. We read it. We intake the bits of information that might make sense, and we logically bridge build. And with this case, there's really nothing you can count out. I think we all know that.
And then when
this next Hive Mind find is an interview from Steve, and the person that sent me this said it really seems like Steve is being genuine here. They were doing like a pay it forward for people that raise money around town for Kaylee. But I clipped a couple minutes of this stream, or sorry, of this interview, this documentary that followed him around for the day. And I just want you guys to listen to what he says, and then we'll break it down.
And then when this happened, I was like, who in Idaho would do this? Who would be capable of doing that in our community? And I remember talking to one of the officers. We've always tried to put some like emphasis on saying we appreciate all the hard work, everything that they've done, and we know that we would not have justice without those men and those women. You know, we were just in the court, a few weeks ago, and we got a little bit of time to talk to Thompson, and Thompson was, he said, it could be 3 years before you guys have any answers. And I was just like, wow, that's hard to hear. So
What would you most like answered?
I want to just see the evidence, really. I just want them to come out and say, this is our case before, this is what they got to prepare for. I mean, they have it, so let's just bring it out. I don't understand how that can be the truth. How can that be something that's going to continue?
Hold on. We're going to dissect that. Is this true? Hang on. Is that true? Was that guy who ordered the boots actually murdered last night? Or are you trolling? The guy who ordered the boots off the dark web, somebody just said he was murdered last night. Yes. I'm trying to look it up. No, wait, hold on. Well, I don't see anything popping up on the news, but what's interesting is that when I was typing it, like, look, see, it auto fills. And there's nothing. I wonder if he did. When do you ever see no other articles pop up? Yeah, Awesome Town Matt said that. Is that Matt? Where did you find that? Unless, and if you're trolling, that's fine. But I know people have said he's been MIA. Holy cow, if that's true. Sorry, chat. This is crazy. Oh. Well, if it's a troll, whatever, I guess we'll find out. I guess chat, if you guys find anything, please keep me up to date. Thanks, Matt. Thanks a lot. Awesome. Not awesome town, Matt. Just kidding. That'd be crazy. I hope he's not. I hope he's alive. That's wild. Thunderkeck is the name. So what I wanted to talk about with this,
And then
with this Hive Mind find is how already Thompson was allegedly telling SG that it could be 3 years before you get an answer, and could just be because Thompson's aware of how long these cases take. But I'll play it again. I want you to listen to what Steve says about the evidence.
And then when this happened, I was like, who in Idaho would do this? Who would be capable of doing that in our community? And I remember talking to one of the officers. We've always tried to put some emphasis on saying we appreciate all the hard work, everything that they've done, and we know that we would not have justice without those men and those women. You know, we were just in the court, a few weeks ago, and we got a little bit of time to talk to Thompson. And Thompson was, he said, it could be 3 years before you guys have any answers. And I was just like, wow, that's hard to hear. So
What would you most like answered?
I want to just see the evidence, really. I just want them to come out and say, this is our case before, this is what they've got to prepare for. I mean, they have it, so let's just bring it out. I don't understand how that can be the truth. How can that be something that's going to contain?
So it is interesting how he said he talked to Thompson. Thompson said it might take 3 years. He's like, I just want to see the evidence. How can that be the truth? Let's just put it out there. Again, I wonder what changed. So I have seen the stuff with the DoorDash driver too. However, when I found out about it, I didn't have enough time to really prep for it. So that will be most likely in tomorrow evening's stream. And I will make a note to talk about that. So this is what see, I love getting Hive Mind finds now. Moving on to another email. This one was sent to me by Nicole. And Nicole, see, this is what I can appreciate about the Hive Mind is that this is critically thinking. This is so well thought out right here that I want to give a shout out to Nicole, because it's not taking what myself and a handful of other people have talked about with the funding that WSU is receiving. It's not taking it at face value. So listen to what she says. She says the federal grant for the research BK is involved in paying for all of this. BK is in prison building profiles on the criminals and people incarcerated from the inside. Isn't the grant for behavioral pattern studies in a non-clinical environment? How much more non-clinical? He isn't a target because he looks like a killer. We may never really know what happened to those quote unquote killed that night because they're live, dead, they can't speak. But again, who knows how deeply thought out an operation masked by funding in a college town unaliving could be. There are very, very smart people who do this stuff. Elite level people that are completely aware of how to manipulate media, manipulate people, manipulate narrative to get us to take things at face value. So, oh, Nicole, awesome. See, this is also one of the benefits of the Discord chat. Nicole just said, hi, this is me. This theory is also on the Discord. So that is what I'm looking forward to the most, is we can continue to dive in even off stream. So that was really, really thought out, Nicole. I read that and I go, wow. I actually texted Devil's Advocates about it. I go, dude, could you imagine if that is what this is? So, you know, who knows? I mean, Luz says he doesn't have the social skills to do that. Maybe. But who told you he didn't have the social skills to do that? The news? The narrative? None of us know Brian Kohberger. We've just been told he's this awkward loner incel, like a broken record for the last 2 years. So we really don't know. And anybody that is using a psy-op, to Meg P's point, you guys think about anybody that the government uses, they're usually pretty weird. They're pretty weird. Maybe they're on the spectrum, actually. So who knows? But speaking of psyops, that was a perfectly timed comment. Let's talk about, again, what I would classify as like one of the 3 forbidden theories about the Idaho 4. One of the theories that gets people all riled up. One of the theories that makes people say, you're so disrespectful for thinking. You're so disrespectful for remembering that the government has lied to us on countless occasions where people said, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. And they start to question everything. And then their character, who they are as a person, gets attacked by the news. They get canceled. They get deplatformed. They get debanked, etc., etc. That's disrespectful. So I'm not going to shy away from leaning into looking through all the lenses. I know you all won't either. I understand that we don't know, but there is still something to be said and something to be learned about what it is our government has the capability to do. And I've said, if you don't think that the technology exists to stage a multi-victim attack and make the world believe that it happened, you're sorely mistaken. It's been done time and time again. I've said there's no photos of the bodies. There's no publicly released autopsy reports. There is no video evidence. The only thing we have is the news narrative. Now you can say the court case is ongoing. Yes. But when you have simple filings and everything is sealed for what never gets sealed in a homicide case, unless you're protecting somebody, even in the documents it states this will remain sealed. I believe it was under Title 18 to protect the one not named in case. Okay. That is not homicide talk. That is not. So yeah, and to Bobcat, I mean, outside of just having to call the chat retards here, Bobcat, you make a good point. You could probably go without insulting everybody, but it could be a foreign occupation. It could be anything. A psy-op doesn't just have to be done by the American government. Okay. So what is a psy-op? Because I do believe that it's a word that gets thrown out there and not a lot of people, or maybe some people don't know. Rather. So the definition is a psychological operation, is a covert operation intended to influence emotions, motives, or behavior of populations to further government or military objectives. The purpose is to manipulate perception, manufacture consent, suppress dissent, or beta test control systems. As I'm saying that, does it sound like there's some things in the Idaho 4 case that line up to this? Well, to add some credibility to what I was just ranting about, as far as this happens, this has been happening. There are well-documented public mainstream psyops that have been exposed. I compiled the list and I fit as many as I could onto this screen. So to name a few, we have, these are all confirmed U.S. psyops, like I said, mainstream and documented. Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA infiltrated major U.S. media outlets to control public perception and shape narratives during the Cold War and beyond. MK Ultra, probably one of the most infamous CIA mind control programs that's been admitted to is real, that uses drugs, hypnosis, and trauma-based conditioning on unwitting subjects to explore behavioral manipulation. COINTELPRO, the FBI's, or COINTELPRO, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. The FBI's domestic operation to surveil, infiltrate, and neutralize political dissident groups, especially civil rights leaders like MLK and the Black Panthers. Operation Northwoods, which was proposed, I've shared this on the stream before, but it's a declassified Pentagon plan to stage false flag attacks on American soil to justify war with Cuba. This was rejected by JFK, and look what happened to him. Operation Chaos was a covert CIA program to spy on American citizens during the Vietnam War era, monitoring anti-war and civil rights groups under false pretenses. Gulf of Tonkin, I've said many times, this was completely fabricated. The U.S. government falsely claimed a second North Vietnamese attack on a U.S. ship that triggered full-scale Vietnam War escalation, which led to the death of millions on an event that did not happen. Operation Gladio, this is a NATO-linked, but it's U.S.-backed. It's a post-World War II stay-behind network that used false flag terrorism in Europe to maintain anti-communist sentiment. U.S. intelligence had deep involvement. I can never say that this name, but Naira testimony. It's a Gulf War psyop. It was a fabricated story about Iraqi soldiers killing babies in incubators used before Congress to justify U.S. intervention in Kuwait. Now, I'm only halfway through this list. Look at the depths that they will go to further an agenda. Moving on, the Pentagon Military Analyst Program in the 2000s, and this is where the DoD placed retired military officials on major news networks to shape public opinion during the Iraq War. Some of your favorite news anchors and talking heads. Go look into their background, chat. Tell me what you find. CIA influence on Hollywood. Documents confirm the CIA and Pentagon routinely shape film and TV scripts to promote pro-American narratives and sanitize controversial operations. The hearts and minds, psy-op campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. military distributed propaganda, planted fake news stories, and used social media to manipulate civilian sentiment during the Middle East conflicts. And a very popular one, maybe a little bit lesser well-known than it was a psy-op, was the anthrax letters post 9/11. Bioterror attacks were initially blamed on foreign actors, but this was later tied to a U.S. Army biodefense insider, which helped pass the Patriot Act, everybody. So, God forbid Birdie and the Hive Mind say, maybe the Idaho 4 is a psyop. Well, you're disrespectful. No, this shit is disrespectful. Excuse my language. This is disrespectful. This is BS. That's what this is. Think of how many millions of people died just from these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things out of God knows how many these douchebags have done. Anyways, so the Idaho 4 being a modern American psyop, well, what would the goal of it be? It would be to evaluate how a population emotionally responds to a high-profile bloody trauma pushed in 24/7 media cycles. Test variables. So what are they looking at? Well, they're going to see, can they accept absurdity? And they tried, meaning, let's say they slept through 4 murders in an old, creaky college house with paper-thin walls that when it gets torn down, one swiping motion of a tractor can knock it down. Will they question authority, meaning the delayed police response, the sealed affidavits? And do they beg for more surveillance? doorbell cams, AI threat detection, pre-crime analysis. And look, we've fallen guilty to some of these, chat. Where's the footage? Where's the footage? Well, all that does from if it is a psy-op standpoint, it proves the point. The people, look, they want cameras. They want everything recorded. So it's very easy to see when you break it down in this manner. Moving on, usually a psy-op will have correlation to other major events where the psy-op is used to cover things up. And I tried to go back and find things that were going on during this time. We had the biggest crypto scandal ever with FTX. The Twitter files were dropping. There was starting to be vax data leading to lawsuits. This dominated TikTok, Reddit, true crime podcasts. Millions were mentally fixated. You look at this picture, this is exactly it. It works on so many people all of the time. And just like the OJ trial covered Waco and Sandy Hook overshadowed Obama's NDAA signing, the Idaho 4 is a timing weapon. Now, I'm going to do a temperature check here with people that are caught up in our live. I want you guys to answer honestly. Type of 1, if from the jump you had suspicions of a psy-op. Type of 2, if you're still not sure. Let's see what comes in. Again, I don't know how many people are live. Okay, so we got okay. Kind of split. A lot of 1s, a lot of 2s. I would have to agree that I'm probably split. I think that it has a lot of tendencies where if the tragedy happened, how could we attach other things to it and use that momentum in the news? It's a terribly disgusting thing to think about. But as I've said, you go back to this slide, it doesn't seem like anything is off limits, for God's sakes. Oh, where did my picture go? Oh, hang on. One second, chat. I got to get this. There we go. I got to get this right for y'all. So, again, timing correlation. In the past, there's always been massive psyops to distract and eat up the news cycle. You look at what would this result in, and it essentially is cementing the new normal in crime narrative, meaning you never know who's watching you. You need a camera on every home, and behavioral patterns will now become probable cause. And so the real agenda is introducing predictive policing, AI surveillance, and behavior-based threat scores, which goes back to what has been referenced only by a handful of people, and it's that Washington State was receiving millions of dollars in funding from the NIJ, the DOJ's research arm, for exactly this, everybody. I have my suspicions that this is exactly why Brian Kohberger went to Idaho and transferred. Now, there's a couple of other things that I believe can go along with this. And to name another one, it's the use of IgG and it being a recognized legal loophole for the feds to get your DNA without a warrant. You look at it in this case. Well, what do you need to get a warrant? You need probable cause. What do you need for probable cause? You need some sort of evidence that actually will be considered probable cause in a legal document. Then you'd get the warrant. Then you'd get DNA. However, they couldn't get that. So they decided, meaning the feds, to break their own guidelines in a Supreme Court case where the death penalty is on the line to go and use a third-party DNA database and collect trash or collect DNA from a trash can that linked it to a family member of the suspect in which they did not have the warrant because they didn't have probable cause because they probably didn't have enough evidence. Let's be honest. That's exactly what happened. Again, giant red flag. Tragedy and being able to emotionally palate something to catch somebody that's a monster that allows overreach on your legal rights as an American never just stops with that person. It will always, always, always ride the coattails through that case and after the fact be made law and codified where it does become the quote unquote new normal. So there are a handful of things. There's the geofencing aspect where in the court documents, Brian Kohberger's attorneys were trying to figure out if and why he was under surveillance prior to the crime. Well, on a smaller scale that maybe we can all digest, I've used this example. You can have any chain fast food restaurant app on your phone. For example, I'll use Jimmy John's because this happened to Mrs. Birdie and I. We walk into Jimmy John's, our phones give us a push notification. And that's because that app is running in the background. And when you go into a geofence, meaning an area that Jimmy John's declares is Jimmy John's whatever area, that anybody in this area is most likely going to be coming into Jimmy John's, we're going to push them an alert from their app to give them a discount or to let them know about our specials. Okay. So that's on a consumer level. That's on a business level. What happens when there's no app you need to download and the feds are somehow able to get that onto your phone? And let's say you cross a certain street or you go into a certain area and they'll just arrest you because they're going to assume you're in that area. Now, rather than giving you $2 off of a number 8, now we're going to arrest you because we think you're going to commit a crime. Okay. It's all predictive policing. It is the direction that a surveillance state would go and try and make the new normal. You also could go into even a darker and wilder quote unquote conspiracy. And that's, do you think that these databases that everyone spits in a tube in to see if they're part Viking, do you think those databases just throw away your DNA after they send you the results? Hell no, they don't. Hell no, they don't. They store it. Why would they store it? Do you think they'd ever sell that data? Kind of like people, certain websites will sell your data to other businesses to know what consumers want. What are the trends? What are the analytics? You don't think AI might have the ability to do that with people's DNA, that these people are more likely to say X, Y, do X, Y, and Z, whatever. And you combine that with geofencing and then you just, there's so much shit that I don't know if people understand. It might seem crazy, but I would use the analogy of who would have thought 40 years ago you could FaceTime somebody across the globe, well, the globe, and communicate in real time. So anyways, what I'm trying to get at is there is a lot of reasoning for, look at all of the things that a surveillance state, police state, federal overreach type of operation would have accomplished with the Idaho 4. And what we've seen play out in our eyes, along with all of the redactions and sealing, in a Supreme Court case, which you would think would be on the up and up. And so many people just fall for the, well, we don't know everything yet. Well, we don't know everything yet. Okay. I've said this, and I'm going to get off this tangent in a second. But if this was a single loner incel who just transferred from Pennsylvania, didn't know anybody, was obsessed with serial killers, ordered a K-bar off of Amazon, stabbed 4 people to death, the roommates allegedly saw them, didn't touch them, didn't leave blood, but they have his car on the camera. They found all these clothes. They completely connected it to him. We would not see the most redacted court case in recent history. We would not see the ceilings. We would not see all of this weirdness. There is something larger taking place. So that's what I believe might be the WITSEC wild card, everybody. We've talked about this a lot. Now I'm going to use DM and BF. You can obviously apply it to other people in the chat. There's an argument to be made for a lot of the roommates in that house. But contradictory statements, protected identities. One of them was relocated to Nevada and refused defense testimony. The psy-op angle is that none of these weren't random roommates. They may be controlled assets, witnesses under WITSEC, or intelligence-linked individuals placed for narrative control. Now, if you want to go deep and think about witnesses under WITSEC, it does solidify a narrative with their behavior that they might be controlled. They might have been given training. The delayed 911 call may have been coached. You hear a lot of weird shit in the background of that call. Their stories make no sense. You could go a million different directions with it as to why there may be a delay. I think one that might need to be talked about more outside of, well, they weren't there and hotel checkout time isn't usually until about 10 or 11. By the time they pack up, get back to the house, figure it out, call their friends over, search for a job on Indeed, Snapchat, call their parents, go on Instagram. Would make way more sense that they were doing this from a hotel room, and that maybe Dylan had seen somebody in their house on a Ring camera, and that's why she's so unsure of what she saw, what she heard. When Bethany says, run to my room, maybe she was talking about run to my hotel room, because they got an alert, just like you'd get if any of you have a Ring doorbell, the motion detection alerts, or if somebody rings the button, it'll go off and you can watch what the hell's going on. So that's just another angle. All right. I wanted to get through this rather quickly so that we can dive into this entire psy-op type of angle, because it's an angle that has, in my opinion, started to become more and more accepted. And so if you guys want to start firing some questions out, I will put them on screen and we will dive into it and do a live dig. I wanted to also get through that chat because with YouTube, although much less strict on language, on what you show, things like that, it is literally, it's so difficult to get out of a long form type of stream without a copyright infringement. So I'm going to try to start to get through it, kind of get through these slides quick. And then that way, if I get a copyright, I could just cut the part after all of the meat of it, like the meat of the info gets out. So that's why I was kind of going a little bit quicker today through that. And now if we want to ask questions, we want to open up Google, do a live dig, we can. So I'll do it when pigs fly says, what if the psy-op is to see how many people they can make obsessed about fictional people? I think that we can all, I would hope that we can all understand that there are so many times where we are the quote unquote experiment, meaning society. How does society react? We are constantly being studied, not just by other people, but now by freaking AI and robots. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that in our lifetime, actually, I'm going to guarantee it, in our lifetime, it's going to be really difficult to tell what's real and what's fake if it's not already, especially when it comes to people imitating a human being, which is actually terrifying and sends a chill up my spine. Kittens Will Rule says the front door being left open was such a detail for me because how cold it was out. That's a great point. Definitely someone escaping in a hurry or airing out the smell. What if, to segue off that, what if it was so that somebody would come over and see the door was open and then find the bodies and the roommates had an out and they didn't have to call? Somebody else would have found them first. And then they realized nobody was going to find them. So they had to go back. Meg had a patient once tell them that Samsung TVs were spying on us. Well, that patient was wrong because it's not just Samsung TVs. It's every TV. It's even your smart thermometers. It's everything, chat. We are being surveilled from all angles. We are being attacked from all angles. Our food is poisoned. Our water is poisoned. Our air is poisoned. And none of it is in the interest of our best. It is only to keep the machine rolling. And so, Christy, Nevada, great point. Going off of what we just talked about, if the unaliver left it open, wouldn't DM have seen the door open when she ran down to BF's room? Yeah, she would have. Crazy. Great catch. Do I think that Epstein killed himself? Well, you know what's so interesting? I was showering this morning and I was listening to the Joe Rogan Kash Patel interview. And Joe, if you haven't listened to that episode, it's interesting because hate or love both of those guys, I got to give Joe credit for pushing on Kash when Kash said that he's never seen that other autopsy that came out that said in 50 years of investigating homicides, some expert lady was saying she's never seen a suicide look that way. It's completely lined up with what manual fixated strangulation would look like. And apparently Kash said that we're going to see the videos. I'll believe it when I see it. I have no idea. I think anything's possible. So personally, if I had to take a bet, I don't think he killed himself. But then again, he was also on suicide watch for a failed attempt prior. Kash makes a good point of how would anybody get into that prison? It's a maximum security. But then again, if you have limitless money and assets and you have a guy in there who could potentially take down some of the most powerful, influential people in the world, I don't think anything holds bar at keeping somebody out of that cell. What other questions do we got? That is interesting, Cindy Ann. I did not ever notice that. Cindy Ann says, regarding the door, the decorative wreath was never removed or tested. And do you all remember how people went in and out of the house with their uncovered shoes and clothes? Oh, we sure do. We sure do. I actually have looked into the moving company of the moving boxes. It was like North American Relocation Services, which is a moving company, but the parent company is Sirva, Sirva, and I believe they hold a Section 48, if I'm remembering correctly. Don't quote me on that, but they hold some Section 48 clause that they are one of 2 or 3 companies that have the ability to move federal assets and protected federal informants. I've never once seen the local PD move survivors or victims' belongings out of the house into a back of a U-Haul and put a bloody mattress in the back of a pickup truck. So let's just, I guess I'll leave that where that is, because I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, I've unfortunately been around one situation when I was in high school with one of my buddies, and the family was completely in charge of cleaning up everything. No help from any local PD. I don't believe that's a normal at all. So it's insane. Speaking of this, did you also know, Meg, thank you for bringing this up. Did you know the U.S. Marshals have a location in Moscow, Idaho? I do. Also, the moving company shut down, I think it was within 10 or 11 days. At least that location shut down after moving those roommates out. And they're headquartered in Indiana. There's also a major marshal office in Indiana as well. So again, just a weird alignment with that. I'm glad you said that, True Crime X. Well said. It's that they had this figured out from the get-go, so they were never worried about contaminating the scene. Guys, I showed a couple photos yesterday where it's like they moved out the roommates' belongings. Then a month later, they moved out the bloody stuff that you saw getting put into the back of the pickup truck. Then they boarded up the house. Then in June, they tarped it and they had the disaster recovery people over there. Then they tore it down in December. That is wild that it was that spaced out and spread out. To just tear it down prior to a trial is still something that lines up exactly with this did not happen. The way that they said it happened could be for multiple reasons. One being that the evidence or the layout of the house or whatever was found in the house doesn't add up to the official story. But yeah, I tried to dive into this yesterday, Chrissy, Nevada, I tried to see on other body cam footage if that was rust or blood. I thought it was blurred out. Some people agreed, some people disagreed. But, actually, let's do this. Let's just look up rust running out of pipe. Actually, hang on. Give me 2 seconds, Hive, because I screenshotted this already yesterday. Let me show you guys this, because this is super interesting. I'm going to email myself this quick and pull these photos up. Because fuck you. Because I went down a rabbit hole on this, and let me show you guys something. So I was just curious about this stuff. And I was just started looking up, rust. What does it look like? Okay. So obviously what I'm talking about is this stain right here. And for everybody yesterday that told me I had the wrong wall, I did not. You could see this right there. So you guys have all seen it. Here is the alleged rust stain. Now, I want you guys to look at something here. Okay. See this pipe that goes up? and goes right into here. Okay. Remember that. Okay. And you can see the pipe closer right here. Look at what is right along that wall. The sink, the bathroom, and all of that. So that pipe, actually, what I'm going to do is this. Let me do this. This will be much easier. Give me a second. So this pipe that runs right up here and goes into the kitchen would have the sink water. It's an old house. I don't think that it's blood, personally. And I think that, again, it's one of those things where they're just going to let us potentially believe that it is, because it doesn't necessarily hurt their narrative. If anything, it helps it. Yes. And that's also true. Who's to say, too, that whoever didn't snap that photo? Okay, let's put on our thinking hats here. Not even our tinfoil hats. Let's just think about a greedy news organization that will do anything for clicks. If you're a photographer on what is said to be the most gruesome quadruple homicide of beautiful young college students, and you see that and you snap a picture of it, would we put it past the mainstream news that maybe there's a filter on it to make it look red? They would never do that, right? They probably didn't. CNN probably didn't put a filter on Joe Rogan to make him look green. The news has never had Anderson Cooper go and stand in a ditch to make it look like it was flooded more than it was, right? No. They totally would, because they are a bunch of clown punchers that think that we're too stupid to realize it. So I'll show you guys how easy it is to do this shit. Actually, let me get a different photo here. Okay, I'll show you guys something here. Okay, I'll show you guys something here. That's with a free app. That's crazy. That took me 3 seconds. Now, people are saying that because I see that you're talking about up here, right there. I don't disagree. Let's look at the other parts of the pipe. If there's anything. Right here is probably what I assume that you're referencing. But so if I were to undo the deleting, what isn't it kind of weird though that that's the only spot where it's above? I don't know. And also, let's just see too, like, what if we inverted the light? Would that help us see it? There we go. This is a tree, by the way. So I will say, when you do it like that, that does look like a drop and then run. So that is interesting. I don't know. So it's just, I don't know. It seems like one of those things that it could potentially be whatever we want it to be. But so look, I think what would be interesting to do here, let me find this really quick. I think you guys will enjoy this. Come on, where is it? Give me 1 second, chat. So somebody shared with me a Google photo album that has all of the photos from when this all went down. And it's got a ton of good information on it. So we have some time here. Why don't we go through some of these? See, here are those original photos. And I think when you click into it, it says, okay, so the New York Post had this one. I will just click through these. If you guys see anything, tell me to stop, or if you have a comment. It has where it was published down here, even though I'm There we go. That might be better. I don't know why this photo gives me the creeps. Just this angle. Look at that. What is this? It's like a thermostat. Phoenix says go back to the stairs pick. This one? There you go, Phoenix, too. It's in the chat. Also, I'm going to announce the Hive Mind Roundtable while we got a second here. I'm going to do that most likely on Tuesday. Phoenix, I don't know if you're willing to pop up. I put the link in the chat if you want to. If not, no worries. Yeah, you can see the front door and the other door to that room. I agree. There's the luminol. You know what would be interesting? Hang on. What if I doubt this is going to do anything. I doubt this will do anything. But what if we inverted the light on this photo? I don't necessarily see. Oh, sorry. That's what I meant to be showing you guys. I don't know if that helps. I think it's a good refresher to go back through these, chat. Type of 1 if you guys are cool with me doing this here. Just want to make sure. That's exactly right, Bubbly. The luminol is coming from the left side of the small queen apartments. Why? Because it's a direct pathway up to king and Taylor apartments and small queen apartments. Bubbly has been saying that from the rooftops that this all could have gone down right there. Hence why we can hear everything. There is a photo coming up. What is this? There's the handprint. There's the photo that shows the network was out. Okay. This photo to me, do you guys notice anything about it? And it's not the Jack in the Box bag. That's funny. Nash goes, I go, what is that? Nash goes, the only dude with booties on? Is that what that is? It's the only guy that took his job serious. Yes, exactly. The plant. I understand having dirty dishes and whatnot, but this to me feels like, how do you not clean that up? What's up, Phoenix? Thank you, Jill, for the super chat. You rock. And the plant is absolutely correct. I don't understand that. Phoenix, I don't know if you're on mute. It looks like it even looks like back here there's more dirt, like it was tipped over. But again, this apartment was very messy. I don't disagree, Bubbly, that they let us see the people in the hazmat suits to get to our heartstrings. Just like how they started the Dayline documentary with the roommate's mother that moved out. And Keith goes, so why them? And she just goes, because they were beautiful. Just immediately knew there was going to be zero investigative work in that episode. Phoenix, we cannot hear you. Nash is on fire right now. She goes, maybe BK stole the soil. That's why he got a burglary charge. He stole a succulent, everybody. This entire thing was so that Brian Kohberger could add to his succulent collection. Phoenix, you there? Bueller. Yeah, and that's a good point. True Crime X is that it doesn't look dead, meaning that it looks like this somewhat was recently. Thank you for saying that, Contrary Marge. Who would take the time to fix a tipped over plant? It's someone worried about a mess that probably had arguments about cleaning her roommates. I thought before I read that, when I put it on the screen, I thought you were going to say it's somebody who did clean up and just didn't clean it all up. Phoenix, you might have to drop out. I don't know. This is interesting too. So what is this? I've seen a couple other people talk about this. Now, some people have said that that's an arm. Or a hand. let's do this. What is going on in this photo, most likely, as far as crime scene investigation? When investigators do this and use that tool, what is it that they oftentimes are looking at? Also, give me your 3 best guesses as to what the object is on the ground they are looking at, that you, as I can see that we as humans cannot give yourself a prompt that allows you to do this as effectively as you can. Here it is again, Phoenix. All right. Based on the image and applying a specialized forensic analysis lens, the tool in use, it's a tripod with a high-resolution forensic camera, possibly with a macro lens, along with evidence measuring tape or forensic measuring tape. The purpose of this type of setup is typically used to document small physical evidence on the ground, things like blood spatter, shoe impressions, bullet casings, blunt or sharp objects. What can AI detect that humans cannot? Yeah, I don't think it's any of those. I don't know, but I feel like this is what they're measuring. Yeah, they could be measuring the tire tracks too, and this is the start of it. This is maybe just something where it starts. That's a good thought. Still got the dealer tags on the Range Rover too. I understand it was brand new, but must have been just driven off the lot within weeks. I wonder if in like this psy-op lens, do they even have to tell all of these people that that's what they are a part of, or do they not? And it's compartmentalized. And Xana made a video earlier, and those tracks were already there. Great catch, Bubbly. Title of Range Rover was a salvage too. Jeez. Does Idaho have temporary tags on new cars when purchased? It says yes, they do. A lot of people have talked about this dude right here and what's in his hand. Says they're holding a key. Well, that's not right. A lot of people have speculated that that might be the sheath. That's creepy. That someone's reflection. Where is that reflection coming from? Is it? Well, she's clearly dusting for prints here. There's a lot of people smiling too. It's something that I've noticed. They took a dog in there. I didn't even know that. Yeah, Nash, I'm going to be diving into this tomorrow night with the DoorDash driver. I agree that it seemed like, I guess I could just put it out to like it was my spidey senses going off. I agree. It didn't seem like, it just seemed odd. So again, it just goes back to they're calling this a dynamic investigation with officers pursuing numerous leads and angles. I don't know what happened to Phoenix either. Oh, she's here. It's just so weird looking at these. Interesting. Now, this is insane, Susan. Wow. Says Lana did a little digging on that DoorDash driver. She has 4 brothers. Wonder if one of them matches the Othram Labs DNA. Holy hell. Oh, that's cool. David. David and Bubbly go way back. See, this is interesting too. They acknowledged searching the red Mustang and say it's not brought them any closer to a suspect and that police have ruled it out. Seems like every car like this, the white Elantra, is way more sus than Kohberger's. There's a knife right there. It's a good reference for how big Murphy is. And when we speculated that Dylan was carrying the dog. So I'm glad that I got to this one because I believe that this is the image of the white launcher where that person's phone is up there taking a picture. They clearly didn't have to release that photo. You can see here's the screen that the white car was caught on. Why wouldn't they screen grab it from here? And why would they go and release the one where that person's cell phone is in the reflection? It makes no sense. It also just seems like a terrible thing that, like, if you were the cops, wouldn't you be like, oh shit, we can't have this one out there. That makes us look bad. This is coming from somebody who just took a picture of it. The suspect in the gruesome homicide, the only photo has a cell phone that's taken off of a computer screen. Why not release the actual screen capture of it? So they traveled all the way out to Troy and Kendrick for surveillance footage. It's Kohberger's parents' house. So here's proof, or not proof, but there's a couple of people that this is where this came from. I don't know if there was any video footage of him saying it. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Is this anything? Do you guys think? See you, Nash. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Do you guys think this is anything? I don't think it's anything. I was gonna say, yeah, it could be arm hair. Remember how Dateline tried to make it seem like weight loss and him trying to better himself was a precursor to becoming a homicidal maniac? He was thick, though. My guy. It's a big dude in that photo. Phoenix, you here? Got no audio. Yeah, I mean, this does look like blood. It looks like something. I was always curious what this means at the bottom. Nothing follows MRM 1230. Does anybody know what this part means? Phoenix, are you there? Paging Phoenix Talks. If not, Phoenix, no worries. I got a little bit of static. That's it. Well, Hive, I hope you all enjoyed this live stream. The full live stream will be uploaded along with the quick cuts. I hope you guys can appreciate the quick cuts. I have no problem doing that for those of you that are a little bit short on time. Hence why today I went a little bit quicker through the bulk of it, and then we can do the kind of the live diving into stuff towards the end. So, anyways, I hope that everybody has a incredible rest of their Saturday. Happy early Father's Day. I will be on tomorrow evening at 7 p. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I will go on stream depending on how long the episode. Where is it? I will be on this channel tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central, with Kelly Peterson, who is a surviving victim of trafficking. So, guys, I just want to tell you, if I know it's a tough subject to talk about, her story is wild. Okay, 20 years of trafficking. Stories of now how she has been on the phone after the fact trying to help others escape, talking them through it. It is something that, if that's what you're into, it's a very, very intense story. Her book is available on Amazon. She's got the Kindle link as well. But yes, it's Surviving the Truth 1382. And then Kelly will be on my show mid-July. So with that being said, Phoenix, I'm sorry that it didn't work out with the audio. I'm going to see how long this interview tomorrow goes. If it's not a super, super long show, then I will be back on tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central. And with that being said, I hope that everybody has a great night. As a reminder, I'm on Discord. The link is in my YouTube. And thank you all for tuning in today. Cheers, everybody.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you It's a new day, it's a new life.